Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. As I always say, Dumela, Saubona, Sakpase, Namaste,
Namaste.
Shin, Dubra Otra, Assalamu alaikum, Hotep even.
Okay.
Buenas noches, bonsoir, good evening. Welcome everyone to the Digital Couch. And this is the Lott Carey Wise Digital Couch. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is episode 2. We're so excited that we're building and growing our membership, our watch, the people who we are touching both here and abroad, locally, nationally, and internationally. And on the Digital Couch, you know what you need to bring. Please make sure you have, first of all, your tea, because we're sitting on the couch. Also, make sure that you have a great pen, and whether it be some Post-its or a journal, because you are going to be taking notes. Welcome to the Digital Couch. If you are seeing us on whichever platform, you have a couple of seconds to invite somebody, because you not only have the invitation, but you can invite other people who also should hear this amazing session tonight. First, let me give some shout outs, and we will call them shout outs, to the following people: to Reverend Emmett Dunn, who is the Executive Secretary Treasurer of Lott Carey; to President Gregory Jackson; the First Vice President, Dr. Gina Stewart; Second Vice President, Dr. Jesse Williams; and for Lott Carey Wise, which is the Women in Service Everywhere, First Vice President Angelita Clifton, and Second Vice President Dr. Brenda McBorough. We thank you so much once again for being here, joining us, and thank you especially to the people who have just joined our group today. So amazingly, we had a crowd campaign, if you will, during our first episode, and we were able to amass probably about maybe 150 people, 175 people within about 5 hours. And so we tried to top it tonight. We did get a couple, not as much, but we will continue to grow. So the Digital Couch. What is the Digital Couch all about? Why are we here? Pre-Rona, that's the way I say it, we would have had the opportunity to go hop on a plane, a train, automobile, bus, bike, walk to some other part of our country here in the United States in order to meet with our mission partners who are here in the States, in the Caribbean, and on the other side of the world. But Rona had other plans. And so the digital divide has become very, very small, because we just push the live button in order to get more people in our face through the digital space. Tonight is no different. We are going to have another amazing person on our Digital Couch. So please sit back, have fun, ask questions. We actually already have questions or comments in our comment section. Please do that. And we're going to be joined on the couch with none other than Reverend Dionne Boissiere. I said it right?
You did. You absolutely did.
I absolutely did. So please make sure that you type any questions again in the comments. And even if you are catching this on the replay, hashtag replay, share it with someone else, because this is on multiple platforms, not just a private group. And you can share the information with your friends and family. So thank you very much for sharing, and sharing is caring. So if you do share, put hashtag shared. If you're catching the replay, put hashtag replay. My name is Doriel Larrier of Larry's Education and Resource Network, where I plant seeds to help you grow. And I'm also the social media, support for Lott Carey Women in Service Everywhere. Proud to have been raised in a Black church, proud to have been raised as a missionary. And here it is. I am just trying to make sure that people who don't know get to know people that they should know. And Reverend Boissiere is one of those people. Welcome, Reverend Dionne Boissiere, to our couch.
So much for being able to be here. I'm so grateful So grateful, and it is a joy and a pleasure to be in this holy sacred space. We call that the way that all of our digital spaces have become now sacred spaces, really, as we've been able to join in those places. So the buildings no longer are where we're gathering just because of, as you said, Rona, but the people are everywhere. And so I'm just so grateful. So, so I want to say that one of the things, because we Baptists here, and one of the things that you have already done is what we would say is protocol has been established. So I am so grateful, so grateful that you have established it, because I was going to go down the list of all of the people, starting from Dr. Jackson, Dr. Stewart, Dr. Clifton, the whole. And so I'm just grateful for all of them, because that is my connection to Lott Carey and now to you. So thank you for having me.
So I'm going to hop back a few days ago to which broke down the walls even further. We're going to go there for about 10 seconds. When I was asked to do this interview with Reverend Boissiere, I said, well, I don't know her from a can of paint. So let me do my homework. And as I did my homework, one thing stood out in her little profile, and it said Midwood. And for those of you who are from New York or from Brooklyn specifically, shout out to Brooklyn. I said, well, Midwood is not only a small neighborhood, but it's also the name of a high school. And I said, how many other Midwoods could there be? So we did some chit-chatting, found out not only is she from the same community at some point, but then we also shared another residential space in another state that I went to college in. And then we have a shared friend, didn't even know. So we went from, good afternoon, Reverend Boissiere. This is Doriel Larrier. After about a minute and a half, we said, how you doing?
Sis.
That's how we are. Yes. That's how we are now. So, so if you see me like flex back and forth, it's because we have that connection right now. But I also want her to have that connection with you and you with her. So we're going to start out with a little history, a little track record. And first off, today is an extremely, extremely special day. It is not only special because it is, some people in the tax world say it's the day. Mm-mm. In this world, it is Thursdays in Black.
Right. That's right.
How many of you have on your black? Tell the truth. Drop it in the chat. The hashtag Thursdays in Black. Right. So let me give you a little bit of social media like data information. When you hashtag something, you bring digital voice to the term. So if anybody says hashtag Thursdays in Black, if anybody in the world, we're trying to make a global impact here. Anybody in the world that happens to type that or hashtag that, you'll see the number, whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, it doesn't matter, TikTok. It will register. We want more people to know about these terms. So if you take your photo and you post it on social media, type in hashtag Thursdays in Black. If you're going to make a reference to Lott Carey, hashtag Lott Carey. If you want to make a reference to whatever it is that you want other people to know about, that you also follow and are dedicated to, put a hashtag on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Also easy to find too when you're looking for,
when you want to look up information, if whatever you want to do, so add a hashtag to it. So Reverend Boissiere is in Black. I'm in Black. Tell me your connection to Thursdays in Black, because I didn't know that you had such history.
To
the movement.
Absolutely. So one of the things about Thursdays in Black, it's such a simple thing, but it's such a powerful movement. And it, of course, it has its origins with the World Council of Churches. So first, let me say that I am the chair of Ecumenical Women at the United Nations, which we can talk about a little bit later. It is an international coalition of churches and church denominations and ecumenical organizations that have status, economic and social council status at the UN. But more than that, we're a coalition that seeks to speak the truth to power through partnerships in our communities, bringing women from around the world to the UN, and our coalition advocates for gender justice at the UN, and of course through trainings and bringing our constituencies and delegations, network building from a global perspective around the world, and mostly advocating not only for few improvements, but we're advocating for fundamental systemic change, not only in the church, but church and state, but also to invest and empower women worldwide. So Ecumenical Women is a part of, because of the denominations, a part of the World Council of Churches. World Council of Churches is one of the member coalition partners in Ecumenical Women, because they're all considered denominations. So we're all working together, right, with our status at the UN. And as chair, one of the things that we wanted to do was relaunch the Thursdays in Black program initiative. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is amplify the voices. And so the Thursdays in Black campaign is literally just a global movement for a world without rape and violence. Literally, that is what it is, right? So we're trying to mobilize the world. It's very simple, but it's a powerful thing. Yeah. And so every Thursday we wear Black, and we wear it as an act of resistance, and to join in solidarity with the global community to call for the end of rape and all forms of gender-based violence. And so this is something I know that because we're talking about a global movement, right? There are some traditions and cultures that are really offended by wearing Black, because in their cultural tradition, Black, or even as we know, the racial connotations have been always negative, right, with wearing Black. But in this campaign, Black is used as a color of resistance and resilience. It is a color that we are owning, and we are walking in resistance to the systems that are trying to kill us. Right. So the Thursdays in Black, it really grew out of the World Council of Churches. As I said, there was a decade of the churches in solidarity with women way back in 1988, I believe it was. And so the stories of rape as used as weapons of war, women's bodies, gender injustice, violence, and all those stories have come up within that decade. And then it was inspired because of grassroots organizing women, much like the missionaries and the women of Carey. Women who are organized around mission, and the women really who are grassroots organizers. World Council of Churches was inspired, the Thursdays in Black, by them. And these were the mothers of the diaspora in Buenos Aires in Argentina. So what they used to do is they would protest in the Plaza de Mayo, against the disappearance of their children during the dictatorship. There was the Women in Black in Israel and Palestine, protesting against violence against women in Rwanda and Bosnia, Black Sash movement in South Africa. All of these grassroots movements inspired the World Council of Churches to take this to the decade of churches in solidarity with women. And so from there, it had emerged. And now we are all partners and advocates and global advocates of this. And so what we are doing as Ecumenical Women, and wanting, of course, hopefully to be able to partner with WISE and all of our partners, right? Because we know that I think the World Health Organization stats now, 30% of women experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime. And the numbers have gone astronomically high during COVID because of the lockdown restrictions. So we know that these numbers are rising. And so we just have a simple campaign, Ecumenical Women, as we're echoing this this campaign with the World Council of Churches. And what we have done is we've asked people to pause, to pray, to post, and to pledge. I'm a preacher, so I have the alliteration.
Wait. Say that again. I need somebody to take notes for me. Usually I'm the person I'm the scope scribe. I need somebody to scope scribe for me today. Post. Yes. Wait, pause.
No, we pause first. We pause for a moment of silence at 12 noon, your local time, wherever you are in the world, to remember and honor those who have died at the hands of sexualized or gender-based violence, right? So we pause in first. And then we pray. And we have a simple prayer that we're inviting everyone to do, to pray with us. To say, we stand with invisible victims of sexual and gender-based violence. We see you. You are not forgotten.
Amen.
So we see you. You are not forgotten. Right. And then we post. That's pause, pray, and post.
Okay.
We just talked about it. Put your pictures up, prayers of inspiration on social media, and we use the hashtag Thursdays in Black. Right.
And thank you for those people who've already hashtag Thursdays in Black.
Yes. Listen, Wise is on it every Thursday. Wise is on it. They have their post, yes, and they wear their black. Dr. Clifton is on it. And literally, and we see all of the women, and it's such a gift because we know that women around the world are changing the game. And then the last thing we ask is to pledge. And this is something that people don't take this next step, and this is what we want. So we're asking to pledge with the global community to work to end the violence in our lifetime, right? So there is a page on our website, ecumenicalwomen.org. ecumenicalwomen.org. ecumenicalwomenun.org. Because it's
write that in. Ecumenical Women.
So ecumenicalwomenun.org.
Okay. Got
right?
it.
And then there's a Thursdays in Black page. You go to that page and then you make the pledge. Literally, that's, saying your name, your organization, and it shows you what you're pledging, which is essentially to be an advocate to end gender-based violence, right? So it's very simple. We're hoping to get 1,000 names, by this November, because here's what we're wanting to do in November. And this is what it shouldn't be I'm saying November, but it's not difficult, right? We are now, if you can imagine, we are now at, I think it's only 300 or something. We're at 196 names. Since we relaunched in September of last year, and we're only at 196. So I'm saying we need 1,000 names by November. And so this is what because in November, yes, thank you for helping me out. Because in November, what we're wanting to do is we're going to do a virtual march to end gender-based violence. And I'm telling you, so Ecumenical Women is going to be in touch with WISE and all the organizations to help us, right? So we can start mobilizing right now, taking your pictures, joining them. And what I can do is I'll share with you on your page. We have 2 videos that we've already put together. It's been powerful. And so we're on the way. So that's what Thursdays in Black is about. You are joining a global movement to end all forms of gender-based violence in our lifetime.
Excellent. So that shows us your connection to why we stand in Black.
Ashe.
Okay, with the Ashe. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Another conversation. We'll get back to that. Yes. As a matter of fact, this is a tea sipping moment. If you have your tea, she's parched, but I'm parched just listening to her. All right. So that was why we're wearing black, why we wear black. Tell me about your chaplaincy of the Church Center for the UN. So when I read that, honestly, I felt like the grandmothers of, let's say, 20, 30 years ago, when their grandbabies, or let's say 30, 40 years ago, when their grandbabies went to college for the first time, and they're like, sweetheart, let me just put $5 in your hand. Wrap it in a tissue.
Those $5, yes.
She at the UN?
Those church mothers, they're the ones that I'm carrying with me.
I drive by in New York City and I just look at the UN like, ooh, I wonder, could I ever walk in there and you there? What do you do? What do you do?
It is. So I will tell you, it really is. It blows my mind to know that you're there. So the Church Center for the United Nations is, it physically is located directly across the street from the UN. Right. Okay. And so it is, the United Nations is international territory. That's the other thing that people don't remember.
That's the only thing that I know.
Yes, it's international territory. So literally you cross the street and you're in New York City, you go across to the UN and you are now on international soil. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but so the UN, the Church Center for the United Nations, is there, and it serves. It's owned by United Methodist Women, and it exists to to expand the sort of the ecumenical communities. Capacity to access the UN, right? So the notion that we have the faith communities, the multi-faith communities, because the CCUN is our chapel, Tillman Chapel, there is both ecumenical and interfaith. So it is there to bring a greater voice to the broad and moral, ethical concerns of the church to international affairs, the work of peacemaking and advocacy. So my role is spiritual steward of that space. So I mean, in addition to the sort of the regular things that a church does, where we, the weddings and the funerals and the memorial services, mostly because my community is the world community, and my community is the UN, is our NGO community within the CCUN, and as well as the UN community at large. So right. I have people that come from across the street for prayers during the day. We hold services once a week. I don't hold Sunday services because people have their own faith communities that they go to. But during the week, we have our weekly worship service on Thursdays.
So wait, can I ask a question about that? Yeah. So you just said that people have, again, their own faith communities. At your midweek service, it's ecumenical.
It is ecumenical. That midweek service is ecumenical, and then we have an interfaith services. So those are separate. So the ecumenical services that we have every Thursday, that's usually for the Christian community, right? So when we refer to the ecumenical community, that is usually the Christian. Various denominations, the Christian community that comes, because remember, United Methodist Women have founded in the building, and so if you go once, and I hope you're able to come when this is all over. You all have to come for yes. So in the chapel, you'll see that we have the flags from the various parts from the various faith communities, right? So the cross, the crescent moon, the Star of David, the Buddhist life wheel, those things are all there across. So our Thursdays services are the Christian services, and then we have interfaith services around issues that come up at the UN. So we have interfaith services around ending global ending you name any of it, right? Because one of the things that I think that also WISE can get involved with it, or any of the organizations can get involved with, is the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And so we have, and that's everything from gender-based, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We call them for short the SDGs, right? And so they're from everything from ending poverty to partnerships, and in between is climate justice, there's gender equality, there's so we have literally 17. And so what I have done as chaplain also is part of that is not only providing a sacred space, worship, hospitality, community advocacy, and a forum for partners in civil society, right, to engage in this transformative education. But what we're hoping to do in my work, engaging the local and the global. And so I mobilize what we have now. Some of you may know Bishop Barbara Austin Lucas and Agape. Yeah. So Agape comes, and Agape and WOMB, a women organizing, mobilizing, and building. They have come now for the last 5 years. And it was just the women at first. And then what they've done, because one of the women in WOMB they come for their Women in Leadership lecture series every March, right after Commission on Status of Women. And so what they've done is they bring the women, and one of the women are teachers. And so what they did was they engaged their students. And when I taught the women about the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. They went back, taught their students about it. And what they did was they brought them. So what we do every March is we bring in another group. right? And so their women's lecture series happens. And so this is for me part of my sort of personal mission as chaplain. Yeah, because we have to be able to bridge the local and the global. And I know right now, especially during COVID, people are really concerned about what's happening in their local communities, and we should be. What's happening within your churches, what's happening. But I want to tell you that what is happening around the corner is happening around the globe. And if we can get that into our heads, if we can really understand, you know, what that is, if we can understand it, the same thing when we're talking about trafficking, talking about human trafficking, we're talking about sex slavery and all of those things. We got to know that in the Bronx, that's the hub for it right here in New York City. I'm making it plain because we think that just happening around the world, but they're not. There are abductions that are happening every day here, there, So if we can bring in those global concerns and help us to sort of relay them to what's happening in your local church, what's happening in your communities, and particularly it should be something. And this is why I think when Dr. Jackson reached out to me, it was such a gift and a blessing, because again, this is what Carey does, right? So it's all about missions. It's all about being able to assist, come alongside those people who are doing the work to reach out to the left, the last, the least, and the left out, the ones that are on the margins. And that is the work that I'm trying to do. So in this role, that is sort of my job, to be able to to be a good steward of the space and open it up for those who are coming, again, hence the hospitality and the community advocacy, but also then to make sure that people are empowered. And our theme of the building is empowered to build the things that make for peace. And so if women and children and youth are being treated and their human rights are being acknowledged, then we have peace. Right? If we have sustainable development in those countries and communities, if we are able to help people, not just give them charity, part of my job is to help people think outside, not just models of charity, but to go to models of justice. And that's part of, what I hope to bring to Lott Carey, and to talk about that.
I think I need another sip of tea. Wait a minute. Yes. Okay, so let me just say that thank you very much to all those people. Thank you, Dr. Clifton, for being my scope scribe today. I really appreciate it. So we need more people, of course, even though there's a couple of people who are watching right now, to continue sharing this, to hashtag. There's a whole lot to hashtag, right? We have the least, the last, the least, the left out. We have pause, pray, post, and pledge, because there's the new hashtags. Every single time you hear something that sort of connects with your spirit, here's a simple tip: make it a hashtag.
Wow.
Just make it a hashtag, because if you know it and you repeat it, you want other people to know it and repeat it. And in this digital space, it becomes a hashtag. So that's what you do for the UN. So now you've talked about connecting across the world, things that really are happening right here. And I'm in Brooklyn. Shout out to Brooklyn. And you partially Brooklynite. Let's just recognize that. Shout out to Brooklyn.
Of course.
Thank you. Right. So let's talk about the things that happen here in Brooklyn and the Bronx also happen in Bangladesh and Botswana. Right. See how I did that?
That's right.
Bring it home to Chibok. Tell us what happened yesterday. What day of, let's just say, not celebration, but of memorializing, of commemorating, of acknowledging, of highlighting what happened on yesterday, 7 years ago.
Sure. So on April 14th, in 2015, 276 girls were abducted from their school. It was a government secondary school in Chibok, Borno State. They were abducted by Boko Haram. This is in Chibok, Nigeria. And so hence the hashtag started of a hashtag Chibok girls, right? And so what we need to know is that 57 of them escaped. And this is important to kind of put your mind around this, right? So 57 of these girls, 276 of them were abducted. 57 of them escaped. 4 of them were found miraculously. 103 of them, years later, were released, but there's still 112 that are missing. And so yesterday marked 7 years. That's 7 years, just way too long for our girls to be missing. And so there is a Bring Back Our Girls that became the hashtag then. Even with then First Lady Michelle Obama used to hashtag, and everybody, and when we were out there in 2014, we had, Alicia Keys was with us. We had everybody there. And so what we did was we would go to the Nigerian consulate, the embassy, which is literally on the corner of the block where the church center is, literally on that same corner. And what we would do is we would protest, right? So, but the Bring Back Our Girls, we would Bring Back Our Girls New York. So there's Bring Back Our Girls Abuja, Chibok, New York, Lagos, and then there's the global coalition, right? And so with Lagos, each one had commemorative events where you have some of the parents that are there. We need to know 20 of the parents have died because suffering, waiting for their children to come back, and that they have suffered their physical ailments that have come from the grieving of not knowing what was happening. We have what we do know. And so yesterday, what we did was we organized because I have held space. The church center has been the place where Bring Back Our Girls New York has been gathering. Wow. And what we would do is we would gather there. We would commemorate there. We would, but these girls have been, they've been raped, they've been abused, they've been trafficked, they've been forced into marriage, they coerced against their will, they've been forcibly impregnated because Boko Haram wants to continue building an army. And so what they've done is, again, women and girls have been used as weapons of war. Right. And so this is what's been happening there, right? So the oftentimes, we've been silenced. The trauma and people suffer, women and girls suffer in silence over there, but that we can't hear their voices. They're somewhere in the Sambusa forest with Boko Haram, and we just don't know. So marking that day was significant. And what we don't just talk about it, but what we have done is each year we bring demands to the governments. One time, we stood there and we got they treated us awful, because the press was there with us and whatnot, and we're there. But we did get a chance to speak to some of the officials there and to bring our letter to them. So what we did was we put together our press release and we submitted our demands again to echo what is going on. This is one of the things that we need to understand about the work of missions. And when we do global advocacy, we do not do this work just because of what you think is best to happen in an area. We come alongside the people that are in that local community. So we find out what the needs are there, right? This is the work of activism and the work of advocacy. You find the needs out.
Don't forget allyship.
Absolutely. Now I'm gonna tell you something. I want not only the allies, but I need accomplices now. I'm moving beyond allies, and we need accomplices at this point.
More stuff to write down now. Wait a minute.
Why? Because I need somebody to have skin in the game. An ally you can decide one day or not. I'm just gonna, this is not working for me.
You can put the shirt on, you can take the shirt off.
Exactly. But when you're an accomplice, you have skin in the game, right, with us. So we need the allies too, because all are going to help us to get but I am interested in this moment to be able to have those who are going to be accomplices with us. And I know we've always heard the accomplice in a negative connotation, but this is what we're talking about when we talk about global advocacy. We need both, right? The allies, the accomplices that are going to have it. So we provided a report on the status of what's happening there, and what we did was we put a list of demands together for what we're asking for the president and for the government to be able to do. So we need accountability. And what the local community in Chibok is saying they want is disclosure and closure. The parents need closure, and they need to disclose what is happening. And why is it that you cannot tell us where 112 girls are? And you absolutely know. There's no way that you don't know, right? So, it's so sad. But the psychosocial needs that our girls are needing. Some of the ones who have come out and actually are going into school now. So we do still need people who are doctors, psychologists, all of this. Yeah. We need those, right? And so this is the Bring Back Our Girls global launch. And so there's going to be a lot more that's happening, but we cannot be deterred. And so the new hashtag, right, that has come up this time, along with Bring Back Our Girls, is until all are free. Hashtag until all are free.
Okay, pause right there. Mm-hmm. However many people are watching us right now, whatever platform you're watching this on, I need you to hashtag that. I need it to roll through these comments. Say it one more time, Reverend Dionne.
In addition to the Bring Back Our Girls, hashtag Bring Back Our Girls, this hashtag this year in particular is hashtag until all are free. Because what we need, not only the Nigerian government to know, is that, but we need the world to know that we will not stop. We will not stop until all are free. Not just all of our girls in Chibok, but to all of our girls who have been subjected to this kind of violence. Until they are all free, we will not stop. So that's what Bring Back Our Girls is about. And that's who we have been as this coalition. And Bring Back Our Girls New York is an interfaith coalition. Women of all faith traditions have come together yesterday, right. And it's on our it's on the Church Center page if anybody wants to see the commemoration, where we did have 3 witnesses from parents. They gave their own account. It was heart-wrenching to hear them talk about their children. Women, the mothers, and the fathers who are talking about their children and wanting. And then what they want them to know is, because we know that many of them have been forcibly impregnated, right? Because again, Boko Haram wants to expand their army. And what they are trying to tell the government is that they don't need to send them back because they are now their property. That's a whole nother conversation. So, but what the parents and the community in Chibok is saying is bring them back to us, because even the children, we will keep the children. They are right. Part of us. They're right. Us. Right. And we need to be able to, and these are the kinds of things that we learn from, right? Because we don't do, this is something that I had many times considered doing PhD work and thinking about doing that. And what I find is around trauma, particularly now, if I had to do it again, it would be in that area. But in particular, what we do is we, in the work of missions, as well in the work of advocacy and activism, allyship and accomplishments, what we do well is we try to prepare the person who is traumatized, and we do all of the work around the people who are traumatized. But what we don't do a good job in is preparing the community to receive them again.
Pause right there.
Yeah.
Those people who are just popping on, and I know there are new people who are just popping on, we are on the Lott Carey Wise Digital Couch with Reverend Boissiere, who is the chaplain of the Church Center for the UN. She is also, in this situation, an activist and an advocate, as well as an accomplice, because she has skin in the game for the Chibok girls. So again, I have a couple of hashtags I would love for people to reply. If you see them in the comments, just as I tell my students, just copy and paste. Copy. Yep. If you can't tap, copy and paste. Copy and paste. But wherever you are, on whatever platforms that you are on, because some people are, social media gurus. So they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. If you're on TikTok, God bless you, but I'm not there yet. But put these hashtags there as well. It could actually be a part of, if you want to roll like that, looking over my glasses, make that as like a part of your signature. Because if you can sit on the couch with us and chit chat about that, put skin in the game and make it as a part of your identity. Because, hey, I can wear black. I can wear black because guess what? I like to cook and I don't like stuff to spill on my clothes and then I ruin my clothes. So I can wear black, right? That's almost like being an ally. Hold on, wait a minute. I got to lean in for this one. I could wear black because let's say I'm an artist, and even though Broadway is shut down, sorry people on Broadway, but you can't see me at night because it's dark there, so I can blend into the background. We don't want you to blend into the background.
Right.
We want you to stand in, lean in, move forward, and wear black for the purpose of Thursdays in Black.
Right.
We want you
ending gender-based violence. Yes. Ending rape, gender-based violence in our lifetime. We could do it.
Right. So, but I'm trying to differentiate between,
absolutely, yes,
right? It's intentional. It's intentional showing up and showing out for things that matter. So I could blend into the background like no one sees me, or I can make some of this information as a part of what? Of who I am. And so I love being a missionary. I love doing what I can for those people who need a little bit more or a little bit different. And so I show up like that. So you show up like that. You show up wearing not just the badge on the outside, but the badge on the inside, right? You show up carrying the cross, bearing the burdens in the heat of the day, because it's hot. It's hot.
It is. So,
I just say, and thank you for those who are dropping information about the trauma-informed community development is essential. Yes. The weaponizing of women's bodies. Yes. And this is not new. So we can clearly say that we live, let's just say high on a hill. Let me just drop that into people's spirit right now. We can live high on the hill in public, but if truth be told, we probably already know a story of somebody who either one may have been abducted, or two, probably two more than one, has known of a young lady, a girl, whether it's an auntie, a grandmother, a mother, a cousin, whose body has also been used as a weapon of war by being abducted, sexually assaulted, touched, felt up, groped, whatever, in the workplace, in spaces that we don't even want to name, houses.
I will name them. I'm going to say them. I'm going to do it.
I just wasn't going to be. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'll take it. And I will, because this is one of the things, this is one of the reasons why this platform and your digital couch is so important. This is why WISE and the work that, women doing service in the world everywhere is so critical. The work of missions is critical, is because we need to be the ones that are going to say what the world and other people will not say. So I'm going to say it, that there are people, women and girls in the church that are being assaulted. These women who are being, not only in the workplaces, but in the home, that are being assaulted and abused, and they're remaining silent about it because they're afraid. Because, and I will say, part of the reason why this is so important to me, and I'm going to get personal, if you don't mind. And I know that this is something that's going out into the world, and I have talked about it But I am a survivor of intimate violence. I am a rape survivor and a survivor of intimate partner violence. And so for me, this is not just what I'm talking about. This is real. And it's taken me so long to be able to actually talk about it without breaking down into tears. And oftentimes I do. But what it gets me angry now, and it's a righteous indignation because we're not speaking up on behalf of those who are remaining silent. Because it is not to say that they don't have a voice. They absolutely do. But they have been too afraid to use it because they have been shamed, right. They have been mocked, and they have been laughed at, and they have been silenced. Right? And so it's particularly women in the church. We need to listen to the stories of these girls. We need to wonder, why don't they want to come to Sunday school anymore? You think? Let's ask what's going on. Why is it that they, for those of us in traditions where you have acolytes or, you have assistants that come and you have, and they don't want to do it anymore. This is happening, and it's happening not just by the men. It's happening by those that are in positions of power within our churches. And so if somebody, I'll be the one to say it, but because we have to, and we're not talking about it, we need to create safe spaces. Within our sanctuary spaces, within our places of worship, within the places where, people want to start having Bible study at home. And we got to be careful about who you're letting in your homes. We have to be careful about who you're letting in these intimate spaces, right? We have to talk about these things, and we're not. And we're in a pandemic now. And if we are talking about going back into the churches the same way, that's a problem. There's a problem. We have to talk about how we use language differently within the songs that we sing, within the prayers that we pray. We don't allow women and girls to feel safe. And women and girls and the vulnerable, right? Because they're little boys that need to feel safe. There are men that need to be feeling safe. My role, though, is an advocate for gender justice and women and girls. And so that's why I amplify it. But I do not ignore the fact that there are also men and boys that are being abused. And we also need everybody to be a part of this. Because if we're going to get free, we're going to need everybody in here. If we're going to end rape and violence in our world, we need everybody on board to do it. And so I think that Wise, I think that like Carey, I think that women everywhere need to get on board and tell the truth about what's going on, and not lie. And as the old mothers would say, tell the truth and shame the devil.
I was trying to hold that back. I'm sorry. It's a reflex because you're raised in a Black church. You got to say it. Just pops into me. Baptist. I was trying to be dignified, but sometimes listen, we don't pass being dignified here.
And it's also I want to also say too. So for me, I am a womanist preacher, and so I know, and I know that word might not be.
Did you just say womanist?
Absolutely.
Do I hear bell hooks?
You do. You absolutely do. You hear Alice Walker. Yes, you do. You hear it all. You hear it all. And so we got to remember, I came out. I went to seminary where the mothers of womanist religious thought started. We're talking about, Dolores Williams, Katie Geneva Cannon, Jacqueline Grant. These are the women who taught us. Right. And of course, and the language and the title, of course, womanist has come from Alice Walker's definition. Right. So you see the activists, the poets, the writers, those are the ones who had cultivated and crafted that. And because there was no space for Black women's reality to be seen in the church, we needed to be able to say, wait a minute now. How is it that how do I show up in the world? Right. Of course, you have Black feminists, but the womanist way says that the whole folk, we're concerned about the whole folk, right? If we all going to Canada, all of us going.
Who needs tea right now? Sorry, I need tea. Go ahead.
So for me, that is the lens in which I do all of my work, right? So that we're talking about the whole folk. How are the whole folk going to be safe? How are we going to be free? How is our mind going to be emancipated, moved from this kind of boxed way of thinking and being? How are we going to do missions differently? Because we can't do it the same way that we've been doing it. And again, for me, I have moved from a model. I need the church to change the models. Huh?
Somebody said everybody. Yes,
everybody. Everybody.
Y'all know this is church up in here on a Thursday night. Call us a Thursday night revival on the digital.
Thursday night revival. Yes, I say yes. And amen. Yeah, because we have to, and I think that's one of the ways in which we show up in the world, and that's the beauty of who we are as Black women, women of color, and Black women of faith in particular. Right? That's how we show up in the world. And I can't, title someone a womanist or not. I own that for myself. Right. But I'm saying that's the lens. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the lens through which, for me, my service in the church and in the world comes. So this is how, so I am firmly planted in one of those things. I mean, Reverend Dr. Katie Geneva Cannon, bless her heart and rest her soul. She is now an ancestor, but she continues to speak to us and she continues to move at us. And one of the things that she has always said to us is that you need to do the work that your soul must have. That is what she says. Do the work that your soul must have. And for me, my soul has to see that women and girls are free and that we are safe and that we are free. And that work takes the form in which we do the forms in which we talked about, sort of my service there, but from in the UN, in the global spaces, but also in the local church and in the local communities, because we must keep those things connected. We have to. Otherwise, we ain't gonna be free.
Right. Now, let's bring this home to what's happening in the next couple of days. So it's like I want to take this into the next hour. Those of y'all who can chill with us, you can chill with us. You can lay back in the cut with us. We're gonna continue this conversation because it's almost quote unquote time to wrap up, but we still gonna be here. So y'all can continue to hang out with us. I want to take this conversation to what's happening in the next couple of days. So in the next couple of days, we're going to see you again. You're going to be on
so grateful.
Different Zoom call, a different Zoom call, but you have been identified. Now, wait, let's wrap back a couple of days. Your work, your activism, your advocacy, your accomplishments and accomplishments. I just made that up. If that's not a word, it's going to be a word today. Okay, thank you. Has got you into an amazing space.
Yes, so
an amazing space. You can speak to that space better than I can. Who are you now? What is your additional title? You are a part of the.
Oh, you're talking about the induction. Yes. I thought you were talking about Lott Carey. I was like, listen, I'm about to be that
finish with Lott Carey. That's gonna be the big right. But what's happening down south?
I know what you mean. Yes. So what we're talking about there is the Martin Luther King Jr. The Morehouse College Martin Luther King Jr. A board of preachers.
All right, and pause right there. Wait, pause right there. Everyone, snap it up.
You are kind. I will tell you that thing blew my whole mind when I got the call. Only because when you talk about the kind of scholars and activists that have been inducted into this. It is just, and I want to make sure that it's the Board of Preachers, sponsors, and the Collodion of Scholars, right? Mm-hmm. And it is amazing, amazing to be one of the 2021 inductees. Mm-hmm. To that, and so the service was just last week. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to have been there last year. So I'm just grateful for Dean Carter and Reverend soon to be Dr. Quincy Reinhardt there at the Morehouse College chapel, the King Chapel, and they extending. When I got the phone call to say that you've been nominated and congratulations, we have accepted you and you're going to be one of the inductees. I'm saying, I'm sorry, who?
Oh.
Like who? What?
Say
and
what?
so Yeah. And so what, because again, the work, the interfaith work that we have done, that they have recognized what you're doing, and preaching in both local and global communities, again, to bridge the gap there, as to be recognized on that level is a gift, an amazing, amazing gift. And so, uh, in short, the Martin Luther King College of Ministers and Laity, this year, their title, which was really amazing, "The Origins of Our Discontent." It was a nonviolence, moral, cosmopolitan perspective. And so it's Gandhi, it's MLK, it's Benjamin Mays, it's all of those do are together. And one day it's going to be a woman up in there. I'm just saying. But to be able, but it is Morehouse College. So just say we gotta recognize. But what the gift about that is that they are recognizing women and women's leadership, and women's voices as preachers and as scholars, and that was a gift to be able to be inducted. So thank you for even remembering that and recognizing it's such a gift. Really, really is. Thank you.
Of course. So actually, when I got the call, like, okay, so you're going to interview this person. And then there was a post underneath the picture in my inbox of this, I guess it's the flyer or the program or what have you. I looked and I said, MLK Board of Preachers. Let me find out how many women in this. Like, why is this a big deal? And call me womanist. I was like, let me just see how many past 5 might she be, if any. And I said, oh, okay, wait a minute. There's a couple there. Shout out. All right. Thank you very much for recognizing that we have a voice and our voice should be heard.
Yeah. And so this is 35th annual. This was the 35th annual. And it has not been for a while now. So just the last couple of years where women's voices have been really recognized. And this year, we had a phenomenal preacher who was also a union alumna, and Reverend Dr. Lakeisha Waldron, who is the president of New York Theological
NYTS. Yes.
NYTS.
Right. Isn't she the first?
She is the first. She is the first. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Yeah. And so we were talking about it in another circle. We were talking about being the first, right? So I'm the first woman of African descent, first Black woman ever to hold the position as chaplain there at the church center there. And so when we talk about being the first and whatnot, it was a big deal for Lakeisha, for Dr. Waldron to be able to be there. And not only was she inducted this year, but now she has a portrait that is going to hang there in the college. And so just a gift to be one of the inductees for this year. So thank you again for that recognition, and to God be all glory.
Excellent. So now let's bring it on home. So next week, now we can, after we got all those accolades, all those letters behind our name, as our grandparents would say, all those letters behind your name. Can you wash the dishes? Can you sweep the floor? Right. So what will you be bringing home? What will you be bringing home to the spring conference with Lott Carey?
So Lott, I'm not going to give everything away because it's going to be there. But the spring missions,
you've already given us a foretaste. You've already given us a foretaste. So we're going to be there. We're going to be there front and center with our tea, with our popcorn, and with our notebook. Go ahead. I'm waiting.
Because again, one of the things for the theme is just so rich, right? That we have, serving the least of these, right? And the notion too for the morning, I think is focusing on the incarcerated. And so what I think is so important, particularly the theme that they've chosen, setting the captive free, ministering to the incarcerated. For me, and the overall theme, of course, as you know, is caring for the least of these. But it reminded me of Wise's the prayer journal that we had, right? And that. Yeah. And
we're
so
all in alignment. We're all in alignment.
Absolutely. And so it just took me back to that, because what we're talking about is women and girls, of course, the being not only unjustly detained around the world, but the numbers of detainees and those who are incarcerated growing sky high worldwide. And so I am asking the question, in this kind of a world, right? Is freedom even possible? I mean, is it possible that we can actually set captives free when people, when we have systems that are trying to kill us, and nobody's trying to change that system? Right. Nobody's trying to change it. Now, when I say nobody's trying to change it, we are, but by trying to do what listen, the house that Stacey Abrams built is trying to change the game, right? And we've done it. But you also see now what's trying to change that and to take us back before Jim Crow, right? I mean, so what I'm saying is the system is doing exactly what it's meant to do. Mm-hmm. And so if we are saying that we have been called to set captives free, how is it that we can do that? And I think it's really very simple. And I think there's something that I believe that the Lord is saying for us that we gotta do. And I think, again, just like the Thursdays in Black initiative, simple but powerful enough. And if we can do it, and we have to do it together, I think that's of course the difference, because people can be doing things. You doing one thing here, you doing another thing here, another person's doing another thing. But unless we do it together, we're not going to be able to make the impact. My former pastor, who has now become a very good friend of mine, call him a big brother, Reverend Dr. Ivan Sean Pitts. And he used to say to us all the time, it doesn't matter. We're better together. It's what we always used to say, that all of us, we're better together. But what he used to say to us, even if you only got 2 teeth in your mouth, it's better when it's together. Right. And so I have echoed that since, it's true. So again, everything that we do is better when we do it together. And so sisters working together, wives working together, we can end the violence in our lifetime. We can bring our girls back. We can do the work of missions, changing the landscape of it, moving from, and you'll hear me say this again next week, right, moving from models of charity to models of justice. That's why we got to do missions differently. And I think once we are able to do that together, then I think we're going to be able to meet the needs of the world. Yeah. Yeah.
So actually, you're bringing me back to something that I probably have never shared. Somebody asked, how can I say this? Somebody asked me this to, let's say, how we were when you raise in the Black church, if somebody asks you to do something, you do it, right? And so I'm sitting here like, I can't speak on that. What? And if I dig a little bit, I'll find the paper that I wrote this on, and it was talking about missions and doing mission work. And I said, well, and I come from the church that on Fifth Sunday, all of our missionaries, we wear white. Yes. And I thought to myself, I said, some of the real mission work, you can't wear white for.
Right about it.
Need
You're right about it.
Overalls and some Timberlands.
Right. That's right. That's absolutely right.
You need some overalls and you need some Timberlands, because, and I have to say, I do not own a pair of Timberlands, but some of the work,
yeah,
you wear white and people see you from miles away and they could say, ooh, what's that? Mm-hmm. But you put on the attire of those who you are trying to come alongside of, and you do what? You actually blend into the crowd and you speak the language of the people that you're trying to support, and they are more welcoming and, embracing of you, and they are willing to do what? To listen. Okay, somebody said you love your Timberlands. You got Timberlands? Okay, that's okay. Right. So,
I love it. I used to have some brown.
Yeah. Excuse me, because we from Brooklyn. I had to say it. What city love? Okay, sorry. I'm supposed to be professional, but again, we on the couch. We're on the couch. Okay, we're on the couch.
Listen, I think we've got to have the balance, and that's the thing. I mean, one of the things for me. So I have to. I am a good West Indian woman. I'm a Caribbean. Okay, so I'm from Trinidad.
Barbados in the house. Thank you.
Lovely. By the way, we've been praying. We lifted up Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines today because of the floods and and all that is happening there. So we just want to make sure that we continue to pray for them. But there is a place. What we can never do, we can never discount or disregard the generations, right? We need our elders. We need, because we need to learn from them. We need to sit at the feet of the elders. We need to be able to hear from them. That great cloud of witnesses that we talk about in the Bible is not just in the Bible here, but we have our elders and our ancestors that are informing the ways, right? We must, because we're not, if we don't, I mean, that is what Sankofa is. If we don't reach back, yeah. And so we're never going to be able to have a clear vision of where we're going. So we must honor all of the generations. So there's a place for your whites, no matter what, but what you just pointed out is what I'm talking about, where we're changing the models, right? So you wear white because you want to have a special occasion, and we're doing that. But when you're doing the work, your outfit, the outer garb is going to look differently. Yeah. And so, and Jesus is not moved because you were wearing your white and it was crisp and clean. Jesus is not moved because I'm just,
he's not in the creases. He's not in the head.
And now listen, I love a church hat. Listen, so I am not. This is what I'm saying. This is a part of our culture, and it's really part of Black culture, right? It's a part of who we are as particularly women of the African diaspora. And I think that that's what makes us beautiful. So we need to honor and celebrate all of that. All I am saying is that if we get too hooked on those kinds of traditional things, where it is what you're wearing that is the biggest issue, then we miss the point, right? But we don't take it away from people. Absolutely not. There is a place for us, right? I'm gonna tell you, I'm Baptist, and I want to see my ushers in the white. Let me hear me. I want to see the ushers.
I'm a former usher.
Exactly.
My corner still.
I'm saying, yeah. So I don't want to change that. I don't want to necessarily change it. I just want to change the mindset. Want us to change the way that I was thinking. And I've always said this. I think that if we can lift the altitude of our thinking, our attitude will adjust. Yeah. If we lift the altitude of our thinking, our attitude will adjust. If we start thinking that we are more than what we wear, right. We are more than just some of the traditions that as we see in a pandemic don't mean so much when people are dying and they can't get together physically in the midst. I mean, I'm just saying that once we begin to think of ourselves as God's, not just the church, but literally God's hands and feet in the earth, that's when we're going to begin to when we're going to be able to see some things differently. That is when I'm saying that when our work doing missions will begin to actually not begin, but it will continue changing the lives, because we've been changing lives. But I'm talking about now that we see the world has shifted and changed, we're going to have to do the same. And it's going to have to be a very radical and different way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. I am so excited. We have so many things happening in the comments. I want to Thank you so much for, of course, we're going to have to read the comments after. Now, of course,
Yeah.
you're going to read the comments. You're going to reply to everybody because that is the protocol that we know to call here in the digital space, right?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
and thank you so much to Dr. Clifton, who has been our scope scribe tonight. Thank you so much.
God for her.
I know.
We
Oh my
bless
gosh, every couple of minutes. Wonderful. So even if you catch this on the replay, here's how you can continue to move the needle forward. I say this, I say this, I say this. Whatever touches your spirit, a word, a phrase, a sentence, you can take notes on your Post-it. You could take notes in your journal. You could take notes in your Bible. We didn't even mention any scripture verses, which is okay because we've spoken the word through our own interpretation. Leave the message in the chat. Here's why. Because people swipe and swipe and scroll and scroll. When they see a multiplicity of comments, guess what? They're going to say, what's going on here? And they're going to see the two faces or the face. They're going to tap for a moment. But they're going to read the comments to see what did they miss. Mm-hmm. Anything that you hear and you type, that you saw and you typed, leaves a trail. It leaves part of the story that is being told. My digital couch was initially called The Power of Story because I believe that every single person's story is meant to be told and shared. Even the good, the gooder, and the best, right? The good and the ugly, because it's going to empower someone else. My pastor, shout out to my pastor, the Reverend Dr. James Arthur Thornton of the Salem Missionary Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York, who I know is watching. He would say, you can learn what to do, not just by doing something else that someone else is doing, but you can learn what to do by looking at someone who's doing the wrong thing. I'm paraphrasing, but.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if people want to know what's happening at Lott, Carey, what's happening on this digital couch, what's happening in missions, they need to come over into this house.
Sure. Absolutely.
If we want to know, are we supporting Chibok? Yes, we are. Mm-hmm. Are we standing for women and gender-based violence? Yes, we are. Do we have a voice with incarcerated women and girls? Yes, we do. Do we help the people who need water? Yes, we do. Did we support Flint? Do we still support Flint? Yes, we do. Do we support the families? God bless the family of the young boy Dante from the other day. The George. Yes, we do. We do. So we care for the people in our local community, our national community, and our international community. Do we show up and show out wherever we go, whether it be on Sunday, on Saturday at the grocery store, on Thursday at the farmer's market, whatever? Yes, we do. And we want other people to know that and to know that there is a great cloud of witnesses right here on the ground, being led in our local churches, in our community organizations, in the Lott Carey Baptist Farm Mission Convention. You're leading the helm as chaplain for the, let me get it right. Chaplain for the church center or of the church center for the UN. There we go. Let me get it right.
Yes.
Right, under many forms of leadership. And so we want to thank you 1,000 times. Thank you. And this is just the foretaste.
Sure.
The foretaste of glory divine, because we're going to see you right back on a similar platform next week at the spring conference. Any other people? Let me see if there's like 1,000 comments in here.
Can I just say, and you mentioned the scriptures, right? We didn't go to scriptures, right, because we live it out. But I want to say that Micah 6:8 is one of the scriptures.
Did you just see that?
Somebody? No, I'm not looking at the chat. I'm looking at you.
Because
so Micah 6:8, wonderful. Because that is what we are called, right, to do. And we think about it. Of course, in Matthew 28. the Great Commission to go ye therefore into all the world, right? Baptizing and making disciples. We know this. We know that's a part of it. But the Micah 6:8 mandate is to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. And if you do that, all the other stuff is going to fall in line, right? And the other scripture for me, I would like for people to really get. I know that we have been encouraged as women oftentimes to be the Proverbs 31 woman and all of this wonderful, beautiful things. And we should have a whole on a couch about that. But I always push back on that just a bit, because for me, I think that not only are women, but all of us, if we, particularly women and young girls, we need to become Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 women.
Right.
If we can do that, if we can trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not unto our own understanding, but in all of our ways acknowledge God, and God will direct our path. And so I say that to say, because you brought up the scriptures, and I know for us, we need to be grounded with that, but we need to walk out our faith. And those things are our mandates. Yeah. So we trust in God with all we have, and we are living out the mandate, not only just to go, because you can go therefore and be doing craziness. I'm not trying to just send you out. We need that. Some people were called, and then some people just went. I'm just, we're not trying for that. But we do want people, to do justice. It's not just us saying that, it's to do justice. Love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. If we do that, then the work of missions comes naturally. It just flows out of who we are. Yeah.
Okay. So our one of our last moments. So when I was about to say, and then you said scripture, because thank you very much, my scope scribe, Dr. Clifton, who typed in.
Yes.
Says it all, and then we started talking about it. So, and then
phenomenal.
Also wrote down the other women. So Deborah, Jael.
Absolutely. Jael, yes.
Jael, Lydia, Dorcas, and Mary.
Absolutely. I mean, yes. And I want to say that we discount the Rahabs of the times, but we need to discount and the Tamars, and because their stories, everybody has a story. As you said, we started. And there's some things that some of those women do. So I'm just saying, to be able to add the Hagars and the Tamars, along with those other women that we have there, because we don't talk enough about the Jaels and the Deborahs. But yes.
Oh my goodness, this has been so full. Now I'm not going to be able to get to sleep for a couple of hours because I have to process all this.
This has been great. And thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to talk a little bit more in depth, to get to not only know you, but to really be able to connect with Wise. And I feel like we have expanded the sisterhood. And the thing about it is,
and the brotherhood, because there's some really good men who are watching. I'm actually
absolutely
a number of my minister friends who from all across the country who are on, some brothers who are actually asking to join the Lott, Carey, Wise. Come on through. We need
everybody. We don't need to just be hanging though. We need you. I don't need you to be a voyeur.
No hanging.
We are going together. We are going together. And so for me, one of my favorite stories in the whole book is the daughters of Zelophehad, because remember, they went together. Okay. I preached a sermon about that, and they went together. They modeled for us the different ways in which we can move. Anyway, that's a whole nother story, but I'm just saying that, so we've got to come together. And so I'm saying that to say thank you to the brothers. I have had some wonderful big brothers in the ministry. My pastors, my big brother pastor, I call him all the time, the Reverend Dr. Anthony L. Bennett. I love him to life, and his wife, and who is for us. I don't do the first lady thing. She is our leading lady, but she is just a dear sister, beloved, Dr. So Donna Thompson Bennett, but she is just a gift. So that kind of partnership and that kind of partnership and leadership where we're seeing men and women and our siblings working together is the model that we need to have for mission work. Yeah.
Excellent. So if all hearts and minds
Are clear.
Okay, because we raised in a Black church. Okay.
Listen, and we have to say this as we leave this place, but never from God's presence.
You're the vice minister. You can say that. I'm slowly. I sit in the seats.
Amen. Amen. Ashe. Amen.
Ashe. Bless you all. It is. Thank you so much for staying with us during the second episode of the Lott, Carey Wise Digital Couch. So now, if you haven't followed us before, I pray that you will follow us now and let other people know. I even have some of my Connecticut peeps who have shared this out. So it will be all in the Connecticut. You know who I'm talking about, Reverend Dionne.
I do, sis.
Yes. So we've shared this out. Thank you so much once again, really, for sharing, for being transparent, and 1,000% serious note for feeling that this digital couch is a safe space for you to be vulnerable enough to share something that people are speaking out about a little bit more now. And I have to say, and I told my students this earlier today, yesterday and today, I said, if you are in an uncomfortable space, if someone is saying something, showing something, or doing something that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, you have the power to say, I am uncomfortable, no matter who it is. And if someone comes up with a story that in your first mind you think, what? If the person is going through something and has shared something that they've entrusted you to hear, believe them. Because people could come up with a weird story, but because we're adults and we're older, and we know that the next step could be exposure, could be possibly a crime situation. Even if that young or younger person or older person, because now older people are coming out and like opening their closet, believe them. Believe them.
Yeah. And as we close out, and I know we're going, as you mentioned that, and I don't feel comfortable enough to share the personal parts of my own story, just because, it's really troubling when people share their story with an alternative motive. Mm-hmm. I'm not interested. What I am interested in is that, Jesus modeled for us vulnerability. I think Jesus modeled for us the best way to be vulnerable when he showed Thomas the scars and the wounds in his hand. And in Jesus showing those scars, Thomas came to believe. I think Thomas gets a bad rap. I think that he was grieving. I think that he was grieving. I don't know that. I mean, of course, and once grief has taken us, we start to question our faith. We start to question a whole lot of things. And so I think that Thomas gets a bad rap for being doubting Thomas. I think that he was just overwhelmed with grief. But I think what Jesus modeled in that is how we are to be vulnerable. And the reason we are vulnerable is because then somebody else comes to believe. And that is the whole point of it. So that if I can share my story, that you can come to believe and know that this is a real thing, that women and girls are dying because their bodies are being tools and weapons of war, and we are being raped, and we have to be silenced because we won't be believed, or we're shamed. If you can come to believe that that's real, then you could be able to work towards the end of it. And that's my whole point of sharing. And so I think that in following Jesus's model, for me, that's the reason why I am comfortable. And thank you for creating safe space and strong, courageous space for people like myself who have survived but are daily overcoming. There's a difference. We are daily overcoming because it is a hard thing, but we can, and we can do it together. And so I'm just grateful. And so I say thank you again.
To all of our listening audience, once again, this is Doriel and his Larrier. This is the Lott, Carey Wise Digital Couch. This is episode 2. We are grateful. We are blessed. We are honored. We are humbled to have been able to have shared this story, this amazing woman of God who is blowing up. I'm sorry, I had to get out my moment right there. And she's showing up and she's showing out for God. And she's showing out as a missionary who is coming alongside people who need a word, a shoulder, an advocate, an ally, an accomplice.
Yes.
Skin in the game, not just on local, national, and international territories, but at the UN.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Amen. Peace and blessings. We will see you. Please keep your notifications on. Again, share this with other people. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Lott, Carey Wise Digital Couch. Good night.
Good night.